After the university entrance exam, my daughter fell in love with Diatu, a man with 8 older sisters. For love, she didn't hesitate to use her high score of 695 to apply to college near Diatu's home. In my previous life, after discovering this, I threatened to sever our mother-daughter relationship in front of everyone, forcing them to break up. Under my supervision, my daughter reapplied and was accepted into the city's best 985 university. After graduation, she successfully joined a top 100 global enterprise and got engaged to a prominent family's son. Unexpectedly, at the engagement party, my daughter reconnected with Diatu. Filled with hatred for me, they locked me in the house and burned me alive. When I opened my eyes again, I chose to respect my daughter's so-called freedom to love. "Mom, why did you change my college application without my permission?" I snapped back to reality, turning to see Suzie's determined and angry face, her fingernails digging hard into my palm. I had been reborn. In my previous life, after my daughter received her scores, she filled out her college application. Suzie was always obedient, so I didn't interfere much. Coincidentally, just before the application deadline, I suddenly stumbled upon a news story. A university applicant had their choices altered, losing their chance at a key university. My heart raced, and I couldn't resist opening the application website. To my shock, I discovered Suzie's first choice was the city's worst college. I hastily changed it to the city's best 985-11 university before the deadline. I thought I was doing a good deed, but unexpectedly, after Suzie found out, she flew into a rage, screaming and demanding to know why I had changed her application. I vaguely sensed something was amiss, but an investigation revealed the truth. After the university entrance exam, Suzie, through friends, met an unsavory young man. He had dropped out of middle school, was now over 20, jobless, and a complete loafer. He regularly hung out with gangs, causing trouble online everywhere he went. His bad habits, like smoking and heavy drinking, were too numerous to count. Most importantly, his family had 11 members, and he had 8 older sisters. There was no doubt, this was a typical family that prioritized sons over daughters. I wasn't against my daughter dating, but a man with no character and such a bizarre family background. I couldn't stand by and watch my daughter jump into a fire pit. I used both emotional appeals and logic to persuade her. Not only did Suzie refuse to listen, but the scoundrel incited her to run away with him. Finally, with no other choice, I went to the scoundrel's house and made a huge scene. Perhaps because it was too embarrassing, the scoundrel immediately kicked my daughter out of his house. To help her overcome her heartbreak, I spared no expense, spending hundreds of thousands of yuan to send her abroad to clear her head. Upon her return, she went everywhere, inquiring about the scoundrel's whereabouts. But by then, he had long changed his mind, starting a family with another girl who had just turned 18. Suzie was heartbroken. Under my arrangements, she successfully enrolled in the city's best 985 university. Afterwards, with excellent academic achievements, she was sought after by top 100 global enterprises. At the company, she met the CEO's son. They got engaged smoothly. I thought her past, with the scoundrel, was just a minor interlude in her life. Unexpectedly, at the engagement party, my daughter reconnected with the scoundrel. After I discovered them, she tricked me into the basement filled with miscellaneous items, then set it on fire, burning me to death. Thinking of this, my heart turned cold. My daughter had no self-control. Without my constant urging and encouragement, she fundamentally could not have reached such a high position as in my previous life. Yet, she didn't hesitate to push me to my death for a man. Perhaps some people are simply not worth saving. As I pondered, my body suddenly felt a push. Suzie forcefully shoved me away. I fell to the ground, hitting my head on the table, and blood immediately gushed out in a large puddle. Suzie seemed completely oblivious, single-mindedly revising her application. Only after resubmitting it did she let out a sigh of relief. She turned to look at me, and her face changed color when she saw my bleeding. Then, she defiantly said, "Who told you not to respect my choice?" I slowly got up from the floor. "You're right. Your life is yours to decide. You're 18 now, and I won't interfere in your life anymore." Suzie didn't expect me to say such words. She was speechless, then turned and slammed the door shut. Having passed this hurdle, I poured all my energy into work. In my previous life, because of Suzie, I had worried myself sick, even missing out on several major contracts. A rival company seized the opportunity and snatched those contracts, and my company almost went into a capital turnover crisis. I had to both discipline my daughter and manage the company. In less than a month, I looked a decade older. I still remember Suzie seeing my exhausted appearance back then, and instead of pity, she said with envy, "Who told you to meddle in other people's business? Look at how ugly you are now, you're not even as pretty as Auntie Suzie. No wonder Dad would rather divorce you without a penny of assets." Auntie Suzie was the third party who broke up my marriage. My ex-husband didn't not want assets. The assets were mine to begin with, and he couldn't take them. But at that time, I was too tired to say another word. In this life, without worrying about Suzie, I had even more motivation. After completing several projects consecutively, the company's reputation in the industry grew steadily. Contracts that I had to chase after in my previous life now came knocking at my door. I thought my life's trajectory would continue like this. Unexpectedly, Suzie's homeroom teacher called me. "Suzie's mother, what's wrong with you? She has such good grades. Why didn't you check her college application carefully?" Luckily, the school teachers discovered it in time, otherwise, Suzie's high scores would have been wasted. "I know you're busy, the school has already helped Suzie revise her application." I was about to say something when the office door was suddenly kicked open. "Mom, you secretly changed my application again?" Suzie looked at me, her eyes full of hatred. "Dad was right, you really are a two-faced hypocrite. On one hand, you say you respect my choices, on the other, you secretly change my application. I told you I only want to go to vocational college, I won't go to any other school. Don't you understand, Mom? Do you have to push me to jump off a building to be satisfied?" On the other end of the line, the teacher was stunned. I slowly spoke. "First, your application wasn't changed by me. You can go to whichever school you like. Second, if you want to jump off a building, that's your choice, just don't do it at my company, or it will affect my business." I told the teacher on the other end, "Teacher, you heard it yourself. I can't control Suzie either." The teacher was silent for a moment, then said, "Suzie, the college entrance exam is just the beginning of life. If you go to a better university, your starting point will be different from others." Before the teacher could finish, Suzie sneered, "It's you old-fashioned people. You secretly changed my application, didn't you? Don't you know? Altering someone else's college application is illegal. Do you believe I'll expose this? Let's see who dares to go to your school then." The teacher sighed and hung up. Suzie looked triumphant, as if she had just won a battle. Luckily, Dietu advised me to check my application again, otherwise you would have succeeded. As soon as she finished speaking, Suzie looked at me warily. My expression didn't change. "You can leave." Suzie, still uneasy, asked, "Don't you have anything to ask?" "No." "Aren't you going to ask who Dietu is?" I glanced at her. "He's your boyfriend, I know. Any more questions?" Suzie suddenly realized. "I knew it. Why have you changed your personality so much? You must be plotting something evil, right? Well, I'll tell you the truth, Dietu is my boyfriend. I've already made plans with him to attend the vocational college near his house. Besides, didn't you once tell me? Excellent people thrive in any environment. A prestigious university isn't the only path. As long as we work hard, we'll succeed in anything we do." When Suzie was little, she asked me why the company hired vocational college graduates. I had told her those words, but what I didn't tell her was that people could rise from the mud because they had a heart that yearned for progress. But people like Suzie and Dietu, without external urging, would only wither like rotten flowers in the dirt. I chuckled. "Say whatever you want, but rest assured, I said I wouldn't change your application, and I won't. If you don't believe me, you can change the password to the application website so no one else can log in." Suzie's jaw dropped. My assistant, Annie, and I escorted her out. Soon, the university admission results were released. Suzie's class was a special class for high achievers. After the results came out, many parents posted their children's results in the class group. And Suzie, as the student with the best grades in the class, naturally received a lot of attention. One parent directly tagged me. "Suzie's mom, which school did your daughter get into? Suzie has such good grades, she must be aiming for Tsinghua or Peking University this year, right?" I still think our Heida University is good. It's also a national top university and close to home. After graduation, she can work right here in our city. Exactly, our city has the best economy. Going all the way to the capital only to come back later is too much trouble. Suzie clearly saw the messages in the group, left without a word. I replied in the group, "I don't know, and Suzie's future affairs are none of my business." After saying that, I also left the school group. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, the building management called. "Hello, is this Ms. Susan? There's a group of reporters at your doorstep saying they want to interview you. Please come home." I rubbed my temples and drove home. By then, a crowd had gathered outside my house. The tallest person among them was my ex-husband, Liam. He saw me and waved. "I heard our daughter scored 695 points. I've checked. She must have been accepted by Tsinghua University, right? It just so happens I've contacted a group of reporter friends to interview our little valedictorian." I leaned against the door with no intention of letting them in. "First, I've divorced you. Don't bother me if there's nothing important. Second, Suzie has her own phone. If you want to interview her, call her yourself." Liam gave an awkward laugh. "Our grown daughter doesn't listen to her father. I called her and she didn't pick up. Doesn't she listen to you the most? Hurry up and call her to come back." I glanced at the camera equipment, connected to a computer in the back. This isn't a normal interview, it's a live stream. As a well-known business owner, I absolutely cannot appear casually on camera, or it could easily be blown out of proportion and affect the company's business. I was about to call security when someone suddenly shouted, "Is that Suzie?" The camera immediately turned towards Suzie, who was seen passionately kissing a skinny, blonde-haired man walking towards the house while still kissing. What were they planning to do next? Anyone with sharp eyes could see. Liam's face darkened. "Suzie, what are you doing?" The two young people were startled. Suzie quickly pushed the man away, her collar wide open, covered in purple hickeys. The person in charge of livestream data in the back saw the numbers skyrocketing and quickly gestured to the cameraman. The camera was almost pressed against Suzie's face. At this moment, Suzie had rainbow-colored hair and heavy smoky makeup, completely different from the image of a good girl Liam had described. Liam angrily questioned me. "I gave you custody, and this is how you raise her. Look at what Suzie has become now, hanging out with these blonde-haired punks every day. Where's the image of a Tsinghua student?" Liam cursed Dietu, and Suzie couldn't take it anymore. "My affairs are none of your business to meddle in. If you want to interview a Tsinghua student, hurry up and go. I'm not going to Tsinghua." Dietu looked smug. "Scoring 695 points is my girlfriend's ability. Applying to a vocational college for me is my charm." Hearing this, Suzie not only saw no problem but shyly leaned into Dietu. The comments on the live stream couldn't help but erupt. "No way, isn't this just a delinquent? Do Tsinghua University accept just anyone? Vocational college is good. Keep this couple locked down." But there were even more comments cursing me. "What kind of parents are these? They don't even manage their kids. A 695-point talent wasted just like that. This mother is truly selfish, only knows how to enjoy herself and doesn't educate her children." Liam saw the tide turning and immediately shifted all responsibility. "At that time, you fought for custody. Now you have a child and you don't manage her. Susan, I know you don't like me, but you can't joke with our child's future." Saying that, Liam pulled Suzie closer. "Suzie, tell Dad, do you want to go to Tsinghua?" Suzie glanced at the camera, then lowered her head, not daring to speak. She was doing this simply to put all the blame on me so she wouldn't have to face public pressure. Suzie's reaction made everyone present implicitly understand that she wanted to go to Tsinghua. Liam spoke even more heartbrokenly to me. "Look, she definitely wants to. Why are you so selfish? For your own self-interest, is your company important but our child's future isn't?" At this moment, the comments exploded. "This is Tsinghua, the dream of so many students. She's still young, making wrong choices is normal, which is why she needs parental guidance. This world is crazy because of parental negligence, children don't get to go to school. If it were my wife, I couldn't stand it, I'd divorce her immediately. And she even runs a company? What kind of company is it? I'll give it 1 star right now. People who can't even seriously educate their children, do you still believe they can make good products?" Saying that, someone immediately prepared to dig up my information. I calmly spoke up. "I have reflected on myself. It is indeed my fault that Suzie didn't get into Tsinghua. How about this? I will contact the experimental high school for Suzie to retake a year." Before I could finish, Suzie angrily screamed, "I'd rather die than repeat." I pretended to be a kind mother, persuading her. "It's Mom's fault. I neglected you because I was busy with work. If you also want to go to Tsinghua, then let's study hard again. The experimental high school is a boarding school. I'll book a double dormitory for you. Saying that, I took out my phone. Suzie saw me actually doing it and lunged at me. You damn bitch, I told you I don't want to go to university. If you dare to make decisions on your own, I'll have someone deal with you. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Suzie saw that the truth had been revealed and stopped pretending. My grades are mine, it's my right to choose which school I like. I'm not like you people, only chasing fame and fortune. In this life, I only want true love. I advise you not to push me, or I can't guarantee what I'll do. Saying that, she hooked her arm through Diatu's, and the two walked away together. The comments stopped cursing me and began to discuss Suzie's strange behavior. I also didn't intend to let Liam off the hook. I intentionally spoke loudly. Liam, you were the one who had an affair with Suzie's teacher first. At that time, Suzie wanted to follow you, but you adamantly refused to accept her, saying that daughters couldn't carry on the family line. Now you're biting back, are you? I have all the evidence. Do you believe I'll release it to the netizens? Liam flinched, hastily covering the camera. Turn it off, no more live stream. After seeing these people off, I lay tiredly on the sofa. After a while, I called my lawyer. Please help me draft a contract to sever ties. After receiving a firm answer, I sent Suzie a message. When you're free, let's talk. A red exclamation mark appeared in the chat window. Suzie had blocked me. If it were me in my previous life, I would definitely be panicking. But having died once, I was no longer the kind mother who worried if Suzie was eating enough or dressed warmly enough outside. I froze all the supplementary cards I had opened for Suzie, waiting for her to run out of money, and she would naturally come looking for me. Sure enough, in less than a week, Suzie called. Mom, let's meet. Okay, you decide the location. The Banyan Tree private restaurant, right? At the appointed time, I arrived promptly. I waited in the private room for nearly half an hour before Suzie leisurely arrived with Diatu on her arm, but unexpectedly a group of women followed them in, and finally, a hunchback middle-aged couple. I raised an eyebrow, about to say something, when Suzie warmly took the menu and distributed it to the group. Uncle, auntie, sisters, please order whatever you like. I recalled how, in the past, when I took Suzie to visit relatives, no matter how much I coaxed her, she refused to greet anyone. Now she was completely at ease. To put it bluntly, she didn't consider me her mother at all. How pitiful I was in my previous life, only realizing this at the point of death. King crab, thousands per crab. I haven't even had it yet, order 2. How are 2 enough? Our family has over a dozen people, order 5 first. Is there only 1 sea cucumber per dish? Then order 11. Buddha jumps over the wall, tuna belly steak, black-lipped abalone. Soon, the electronic bill showed they had ordered 120,000 yuan worth of food. Finally, the waiter reminded them that the table might not have enough space, and they reluctantly stopped. After ordering, Diatu's parents looked at me with a scrutinizing gaze, as if inspecting merchandise. Are you Suzie's mother? Why isn't your husband here? Suzie looked awkward. My parents are divorced. I live with my mother. Diatu's father snorted coldly. She can't even keep a man. A woman like her earns a lot of money, but it's useless. Diatu's mother cleared her throat. Suzie's mother, we're here to discuss the marriage of the 2 children, so I'll state our requirements first. Diatu is the apple of our eye, with 8 older sisters to help him. And your daughter Suzie has no siblings, and even her biological father doesn't care about her. To be frank, she has no competitive advantage. But because they love each other as parents, we can't bear to separate them. However, if Suzie wants to marry into our family first, the cash dowry must not be less than 1 million. A house in the city center must be bought, right? A car is also necessary. We're not particular about cars. My son says an Audi Q8 is fine. Although they're not yet old enough to register their marriage, they can have a child first. Our family can raise it. After a son is born, we'll hold a banquet in the countryside as a formality for Suzie. If you want to hold it in the city, you'll have to pay for it yourself. How to specifically proceed, it's best to discuss with us. Also, Suzie said you run a company, right? You're almost retired, aren't you? Suzie, as a daughter, can't manage it either. At that time, you can have my son join, give him a director position first. I know you business people emphasize starting from the grassroots. My Diatu can endure hardship. You can train him slowly. Later, he can inherit your company, and you won't have to worry about not having an heir. As he finished speaking, his sisters couldn't help but want to chime in. I slammed the table. Who told you I'm here to discuss any marriage? They stared at me, then at each other, stunned. I pushed the contract to sever ties in front of Suzie. Suzie, I know you've been sick of me for a long time. If you don't consider me your mother, then I don't want a daughter like you either. Sign this, and after today, we go our separate ways. Suzie was stunned. She stared at me, then seemed to react. This trick again, I'm telling you, even if you cut ties with me, I'll still be with you too. I nodded in approval. Good, then sign it. I put the pen in Suzie's hand and reminded her. Oh, right, you're 18 now. Theoretically, I no longer have the obligation to support you. You probably still have a little money on hand. I won't ask for it back. But after you sign, my assets will have nothing to do with you. Suzie gripped the pen tightly in her hand. Seeing no fluctuation in my expression, she decisively took a gamble, signing her name without even looking. After signing, she threw the pen and stood up. Fine, you've got guts. I picked up the signed contract and stood up, intending to leave. Diatu's sister blocked me. Where are you going? Pay the bill first. I smiled. I didn't order anything from start to finish. Why should I pay? The prearranged security guards at the door immediately entered. At this moment, no one in the room dared to stop me. I walked to the door, faintly hearing a resounding slap from inside. Suzie, are you messing with us? Suzie, holding her swollen red cheek, dared not speak. Finally, under the gaze of her entire 11-person family, she bit her lip and swiped her card, but her meager savings were already almost depleted. Suzie swiped 7 or 8 cards repeatedly before finally settling the bill. After Suzie ran out of money, Diatu immediately showed his true colors. Every day, if he wasn't partying and drinking with friends, he was entering entertainment venues with different women. Suzie was anxious but helpless. At this point, Suzie remembered Diatu's mother's promise. Suzie gritted her teeth and pierced all the condoms in the house. This trick indeed worked. In less than 3 months, Suzie was pregnant. Suzie was not tall, with thin limbs. After 3 months, her pregnant belly gradually showed, making her look like a frog. In addition, Diatu's family was large, and she didn't get to eat meat much in a month. Suzie quickly became sallow and unsightly. At this point, Diatu didn't even bother to pretend, directly asking to stay at school. He didn't come home at night even during holidays. Suzie gritted her teeth and went to find me again. In the company's underground parking lot, Suzie blocked my car and knelt down abruptly. Mom, I was wrong. She wore loose clothing to cover her pregnant belly, but I still noticed it immediately. Suzie repeatedly kowtowed to me. Mom, please let me come home. I'll go back to school. I'll listen to you no matter which school you say. I raised an eyebrow. Really? If you want to come back so much, I'm not entirely unable to give you a chance. Abort the baby. Before I could finish, Suzie abruptly looked up. How can you be so cold-blooded, Mom? It's also a life. Moreover, I've already humbled myself to you. Even if it's a test for me, it's enough by now, isn't it? Do you have to push me to my death? Who will inherit your company then? Mom, a young girl with a naive face quickly ran up to me. She stood blocking the car door. Who are you? If you don't leave, I'll call security. Suzie stared in disbelief. Who is she? I pulled the girl into the car. It's none of your business. If you don't leave, I'll drive over you and kill you. Saying that, I pressed the accelerator. Suzie was indeed scared, hugging her belly and rolling to one side. I drove straight away. Unexpectedly, something happened the next day. Suzie registered a Douyin account. The first video was the surveillance footage from the parking lot yesterday. The footage was clearly edited, showing only her kneeling to me and the girl calling me Mom. The caption read, "Famous businesswoman Susan abandons her biological daughter. Turns out it's to make way for her illegitimate daughter." My popularity, coupled with the sensational rumors, helped Suzie gain 500,000 followers. That evening, Suzie live-streamed. In the live-stream room, she and my ex-husband, Liam, sat in separate chairs. After the number of viewers reached tens of thousands, they began to accuse me. One accused me of never being home and not raising my daughter. The other accused me of always using business discussions as an excuse to frequent hotels with other men. Liam wiped away non-existent tears. Everyone, I admit I cheated, but is Susan not at fault? She discusses business with men every day, constantly signing big contracts. How many outstanding talents are there in the industry? Why can a woman like her earn so much? Isn't it all through sleeping around? I've been cuckolded completely. I was deeply hurt, which is why I got together with my current wife. As a man, I truly understand you guys. I don't blame you. If it were me, I'd also cheat. I heard that Susan's contracts are more expensive than others because she sleeps around. She's still attractive now, so a night's price can't be low, can it? Suzie also didn't back down. When I was young, precisely because I knew what kind of person my mother was, I wanted to follow my father during the divorce. But she adamantly refused to let me go. After gaining custody of me, she never cared about me, even indulging me. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be in this state now. Saying that, Suzie burst into tears. Comments also began to sympathize with her. Oh my God, last time this girl was fair and rosy, now she's so thin. Susan is truly vicious, torturing her child to this extent to get revenge on her ex-husband. Public opinion spread very quickly. Their live stream room was trending within half an hour. My staff looked at the computer, their faces pale. Boss, what do we do now? I snorted coldly. The company account, live stream immediately and request to connect with them. When my connection request appeared, both of them were stunned. Suzie was quick to kick me out. But the audience's eyes were sharp. Many people who wanted to see the drama urged, connect. Curse that old woman to death. If you curse her until she cries, I'll send 100 yachts right now. I shouted from my live stream room, why don't you dare to connect? You made up such good stories just now. Are you feeling guilty? Hurry up and connect or I'll assume you're lying. If you don't connect, I'll report your live stream room. I even donated 5,000 yuan. If you don't connect, I'll ask for a refund for a minor. Suzie and Liam looked at each other. They gritted their teeth and agreed. They just opened their mouths to bite back. But how could their speaking speed compare to mine, who had been through many battles? I immediately released the DNA test report and the list of people I had sponsored over the years. The girl who called me Mom was just one of the mountain girls I had sponsored. They are grateful, unlike the two of you, who are utterly ungrateful. Then, I showed the surveillance video of the divorce agreement signing back then. In the video, the lawyer explained that since Liam had signed a prenuptial property agreement with me, plus Liam being unemployed after marriage, he naturally didn't receive any assets during the divorce. In the video, the lawyer asked, "How do you plan to divide child custody?" Liam waved his hand directly. "I don't need this loss-making item, this rootless kind, who won't even be allowed into my ancestral grave later." The lawyer asked if Suzie wanted to follow her father. Suzie desperately shook her head. "I don't want to follow Dad. Dad doesn't have money to raise me." Liam slapped Suzie across the face, making her cry loudly. The comments erupted in laughter. What kind of father-daughter bond is this? And they can even live stream together? If they say it's not for money, I don't believe it. It seems these two are the truly ungrateful ones. Next, I showed the surveillance video of my meeting with Diatu's family. Diatu's mother's bizarre remarks were played repeatedly in the livestream room. In an instant, Suzie and Liam were thoroughly cursed. The two didn't dare to say anything else and quickly turned off the livestream. Afterwards, the two tried to withdraw the donations from the livestream, but unexpectedly, their account was reported, and the wallet in the system was frozen by the platform. Suzie failed to get any money. Diatu's family was also cursed by the entire social network for being too strange. Suzie was disliked by Diatu's family, and small and large conflicts were constant. She had an arrogant temper. When her baby was only 8 months old, she was so angry that she gave birth prematurely. Diatu's family rushed her to the hospital, but as soon as they reached the hospital gate, the baby was born. Without money, Diatu's family simply abandoned her at the hospital gate and ran away. I heard that the police also arrived at the scene. After giving birth, Suzie used her last bit of savings to pay for 3 days of hospital fees. Unable to pay further, she had no choice but to carry her baby back to Diatu's house. Now, Diatu's family was being watched by the entire social media, so they didn't dare to easily kick her out and had to grudgingly let Suzie and her daughter stay. But Diatu himself was different. He loved to play. Ever since he lost interest in Suzie, he spent every day with other women, even bringing them home to sleep. Suzie couldn't stand it and went to reason with her mother-in-law and sisters-in-law. But Diatu was the golden boy. How could he be wrong? Her mother-in-law glared at her. "Who told you not to know your place? You couldn't even give birth to a son. I'm telling you, right now, you're just a freeloading guest in our house." One time, when Diatu brought someone home, Suzie directly used a knife to cut off his private parts. She grabbed the severed part and ran outside, to the riverbank in the residential area, swung her arm, and threw it straight into the water. Diatu's parents and his 8 sisters searched along the riverbank all night but found nothing. Diatu was rendered impotent. At this point, Diatu's family went crazy, directly pinning Suzie to the ground and beating her severely. It wasn't until a jogger passed by and called the police that Suzie was rescued. At the police station, Diatu's mother sat on the ground wailing, "Officer, I want to sue this bitch." Suzie suppressed her pain, speaking with difficulty. "I also want to sue them for intentional injury and gang assault." The police, after understanding the whole story, no matter how good their temperament, couldn't help but roll their eyes. "Don't worry, all of you can find a place in prison to sit." At this point, Diatu's mother stopped crying. "Why do we have to go to jail?" The police pointed to Suzie, who was barely recognizable. "She's been beaten to this state. At the very least, it constitutes minor injury. By then, those who beat her will face at least less than 3 years in prison." Finally, both sides negotiated and signed a mutual release. Suzie once again returned to live at Diatu's house. Suzie thought that from now on she would live a good life, but it didn't last long. A pregnant woman with a big belly came to their door, holding an ultrasound report. "Where's Diatu? I'm pregnant and it's a boy." Diatu's mother, seeing a grandson fall from the sky, instantly felt no pain in her back or fatigue in her legs and directly helped the woman into the house. After Diatu confirmed he had slept with her, he treated the girl like an honored guest. Suzie was kicked out of the master bedroom and could only sleep in the living room with her child. During meals, all the savory dishes were placed in front of that woman. Not only that, whenever she had a slight headache or runny nose, Suzie was always the one who got scolded. The woman was also very direct. She told Suzie frankly, "Actually, I don't love Diatu. Just serve me well, and when the baby is born, I'll give him to you to raise." This statement pleased Suzie, coaxing her into obedient submission, willingly serving the woman. Suzie endured for 7 months, and the woman's belly began to show signs of labor. This time, Diatu's entire family escorted her. As soon as the woman entered the delivery room, Diatu's mother rushed to pay the fees, afraid of delaying the baby's birth. As soon as Diatu's mother finished paying, she heard the nurse say, "The baby is born." Hearing the loud cries, Diatu's mother choked up, crying so strongly, "This child will definitely have a bright future." The nurse carried the baby out of the delivery room, but her expression was quite strange. "Is this your baby?" Diatu's mother hurriedly took the bundle. "Look closely, nurse, did you pick up the wrong baby? Our family is pure Chinese, how could we give birth to a black baby?" The nurse said impatiently. "No mistake, she was born by Suzie." Diatu's mother, holding the baby, collapsed to the ground, unable to get up. At this time, Suzie had already escaped, the police couldn't find her, and temporarily sent the black baby to an orphanage. And this shocking story spread throughout social media overnight. The daughter-in-law that Diatu's family had painstakingly cared for gave birth to a black baby. Diatu's family became the laughingstock of the town. The whole family didn't dare to leave the house for a whole month. As for Diatu himself, after having his private parts cut off, he suffered a mental breakdown. Later, I heard that his relationships with men were not bad. Under the instigation of bad friends, his sexual orientation directly shifted from women to men. Suzie didn't expect that even after being emasculated, Diatu still wouldn't settle down. The two frequently argued at home. With frequent arguments, Diatu began to physically abuse her. Perhaps because they had a marriage certificate, Diatu was always brutal. Suzie had to go to the hospital every few months, but this time, even calling the police couldn't save her. During one brutal beating, Suzie finally remembered the memories of her previous life. She ran to me. I looked at her eyes, identical to those in my previous life, and couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. "You've also been reborn, haven't you? It seems you didn't have a very good life with Diatu in your previous life." It turned out that in her previous life, Suzie had an affair with Diatu and was discovered by her husband. Her husband, with his lawyer, collected evidence and forced Suzie to leave empty-handed. Suzie's scandal was exposed, and the company, under public pressure, directly fired her. Although Suzie no longer had income, she still had my company. She took over the company from Diatu. Only at the company did she realize that Diatu had already ruined it. He first brought his 8 sisters and brothers-in-law into the company. All capable employees were suppressed and forced to resign. The company's revenue steadily declined. Not only that, after getting money, Diatu also became addicted to gambling. All the cash that could be mobilized in the company was lost by him. Everything that could be mortgaged had been mortgaged. By the time Suzie found out, the company was just an empty shell with a mountain of debt. Creditors surrounded Suzie at home. Suzie had no other choice but to use all her savings to pay off the debts. Knowing that Suzie had no more money, Diatu directly fled. Suzie, finally in despair, jumped off a building to commit suicide. Reborn to the present, Suzie looked at me with eyes full of hatred. Mom, you were reborn so early, why didn't you help me? You just stood by and watched me being ruined by Diatu to this extent. Do you still have a conscience? If it weren't for you, my life in this lifetime could clearly have been very good. Susan, I'm telling you, I can't live now, so don't even think about living either. Saying that, Suzie pulled out a small knife and stabbed towards me, but the security guards arrived faster. A group of security guards apprehended Suzie and directly took her to the police station. With surveillance cameras and witnesses, Suzie was directly sentenced to life imprisonment. As for Diatu's family, Diatu contracted AIDS due to promiscuous relations. News of his illness spread, and people in that area avoided them like the plague. Originally, Diatu's sisters were discussing marriage, but as soon as they heard someone in the family had AIDS, all the discussed marriages vanished into thin air. As for how they lived after that, it was no longer my concern.